of Kittens and Broken Things. Chapter 70. Kara woke up in her bed. Their bed, green and gold human and Drell furnishings surrounded them. Garrus was asleep, his arms around her, not joined. She had been. When they got here, she supposed the word in the vernacular was zonked, and in the non-vernacular, she had no idea. They all needed new words and new furnishings. When she shifted closer to him, Garrus roused and adjusted to her, sleepily, kissing her forehead. Hey.
Hmm?
Hey. It occurs to me. This place is Drell and human and green and gold. How about some Vicarian blue and scary sharp Turian stuff? He shrugged, smiling, his eyes still closed.
Used to bother me. Doesn't now.
Now it bothers me. I mean, it did then too, but I had different priorities. If someone came to visit me here and saw Turian stuff up in that particular shade.
No longer a problem, huh? I bet you could get a Geth redecorating squad in here in no time.
It might be more useful elsewhere. I have no idea what's going on outside.
How do you feel about that?
His eyes opened, curious and cautious, deep blue. Like I want it to stay that way, at least until after I eat something. Then I want to know. Garrus, Fanning, what do you want to do today? What do you want to do every day?
Is that a trick question?
No,
Is that a trick answer?
maybe.
Kara, you don't have to be Shepard.
I know that. I don't have to be, but I should be. I should walk back onto the Normandy. I should make reports. I should officially hand her over. What do you think? To Russ?
He'd like that.
Me too. Even if it's only symbolic, because the relays are down. They'll be rebuilt. What would you like? You don't have to be counselor, but I bet you're itching to find out what's going on and how you could help.
Maybe.
We don't have to. We can. Not forever, but for a little while. Power vacuum, uncertainty, lack of acknowledgement, and ignorance in the people we've led. It's a little cruel. If we can manage to pull ourselves together by lunch,
You sure?
maybe.
You're being, what was the phrase? Drawn from ignorance to competence, aren't you?
Maybe.
I would feel better if I helped with the Citadel.
I'd feel better if I learned the disposition of the ships and personnel that aided with the assault, and thanked them all for their service. I did promise that commendation too, so there's paperwork involved already.
Yeah, I suppose that makes us terribly boring people.
Predictably responsible.
Ditching on the first chance we have to really indulge in irresponsibility? I'm ashamed of us.
Me too. What can I make you for breakfast?
I have no idea.
Neither do I. I've got until lunch to focus entirely on my bondmate before we go be dull people who can't work up a good pout.
We can too. We just can't sustain it.
I love you so much. So, part-time Shepard and Vicarian, strictly voluntary. And then home, back to being the Fannings.
You're doing this for me, aren't you?
Maybe.
Thank you, First.
You're welcome. I love you so much. She did answer to Shepard. He did answer to Vicarion. Temporarily and voluntarily, they both assessed, communicated, formulated, acknowledged, praised, grieved, assigned, and streamlined. There was peace, but there were suspended living conditions and broken communication with the rest of the galaxy for millions of people, and that needed to be squared away. They coordinated with Senar. Geth crossing guards were great, but the biggest issue that presented itself was all of the ships that had streamed to the Citadel in the high pitch of battle through the relay, and were now idling. Geth were integrated into CSEC and Keeper assistance teams, managing security and production. Everyone organic needed to be billeted somewhere. For how long, they didn't know. Senar estimated at least a few months, not to exceed an Earth year. Many ships themselves were capable of sustaining life, but collector ships were nasty, and the Citadel was a much better spot to live. The logistics were mundanely complicated, and Vicarion and Shepard exerted their authority toward settling everyone, civilian and military, reasonably, amicably, without conflict or insult. There were those who felt they did not receive the best housing, and it was true. They hadn't. The Citadel was packed in tight. The good news was that it would not significantly overstress Citadel systems, according to Senar. The Keepers and Geth were capable of converting more space for more optimal housing, including converting some of the spaces on the now defunct Crucible for the same purpose. Food production would not be a concern. Reaper technology could be more prominently integrated into farming methods, which were still limited, but would not be indefinitely, according to Senar. The Reaper invasion will proceed. Reapers existing in dark space will move in to assist when relays are repaired. With their arrival, then many new things become possible. Don't say Reaper invasion. Gives me the willies. Reaper invasion. Stop it! Reapers are coming, Kara. You're mean. The open platform where the former god had caused their cathedral to be built on the Crucible became a popular tourist destination. She did not answer questions about Senar, only gave one statement regarding his service, his loyalty, and his sacrifice, and how she could not have accomplished her mission without him. That was touching. And it's true. Now you have to answer any questions about it yourself, now that everyone has a Citadel computer connection and curiosity. You are unkind. Maybe open an embassy on the tower. Would that not be a church? Embassy. I do not appreciate being demoted from God to ambassador. Gods have a tendency to announce things with lightning bolts. Ambassadors can use press releases. It's more civilized. I will consider it. After that, the interface framing lines of her Omnitool turned to jagged lightning edges in familiar blue. It was Russ that taught her to cook Turian food. He was much better at it than Garrus, so they both said, and he enjoyed the process much more. She watched him move around the kitchen while her feet dangled over the edge of the counter to get a decent perspective. He was a great teacher, and she felt she was maybe approaching the point where she wouldn't poison Garrus if she tried to cook for him. They spent most evenings together in the warmly lit kitchen, her listening to Garrus and Russ argue over the merits of this ingredient over that ingredient, all things she couldn't taste, but might be able to make someday. She held up her Omnitool occasionally during debates regarding what should be done with ships and personnel so Senar could be read on the subject. She asked him, "Why don't you get a voice simulator, Senar?" "I would need to develop one to duplicate my voice. I prefer yours for the time being." So she read his messages aloud. She was certain he enjoyed using her Omnitool exclusively when they were all together, so she was, in essence, his secretary. Occasionally he would preface certain statements not by saying I, but by saying things like, "The Reaper God demands." I'm not saying that. "The unsaid one decrees." I'm not saying that either. "The one whose voice is not heard unless she is pleased requests." That's better. That works. It's a little long, though. Russ had a tendency to say things like, "Toulon, this keeper farmed Marilette sucks. Fix it." Acknowledged. "If you can't fix a fish, you can't fix a galaxy, man. By your will it shall be done." Awesome. Sonar informed her that Liara was alive and safe on Thessia. Reaper technology was spare on Thessia, but there were artifacts that had been under study. He had been able to communicate through those and had persuaded them to transmit information. Reaper technology was even more spare on Palaven, and that took longer, but there were Geth in the Palaven system, and some of them had been Reaper-controlled. Communication was difficult to establish, but it had been determined that Yased was alive, the Vicarian clan safe other than those that had volunteered for the assault and had been casualties. Villarine, Tansir, and Solana were well. Kara asked Senar one day, "Hey, I've been meaning to ask, are the Geth technically your slaves? The Reaper-controlled Geth, I mean?" "They are more correctly termed as tools. I would resist the comparison to slavery, because they had, and have, no potential will of their own. If I gave them no direction, they would be idle. They have no opinion of their service, nor are they abused or harmed. I hope to locate Sooth and arrange for transition back to the consensus. There is no Geth node available near the Citadel for conversion, and I require her code. I could compose code of my own, and I will if necessary, but I would prefer her insight." At the mention of Sooth's name, her heart squeezed, and she asked, "Wouldn't you have found her by now?" "Not necessarily, Lissom. I will continue to search. She is not of Reaper origin, or I would be able to trace her in archive. It appears that she did overtake every platform she successfully reached, and no record of her code was discovered by Reaper-controlled sources, or if it was discovered, it has self-purged. She is entirely unique, of her own design. The site of the capture of the Crucible is still chaotic and communication difficult, locating one Geth among hundreds of thousands, if she does not wish to be found, near impossible. There is no way for me to establish communication with consensus Geth who do not wish to be lured to potential reprogramming through contact. At the moment, I am maintaining cessation of hostilities until she is located, or a better communication system developed that can build trust." She was so grateful he used is and not was to refer to her. She dispersed code. Did she? Tally isn't sure either, but she explained her plan, and that you knew. Tally said she kept as much backup as she could manage. Do you think? I worry. I worry a lot." "As do I, Lassam. I know she would have, and may have, done such a thing to give us the chance to complete our mission. We do know she succeeded. It is doubtful we could have captured the Crucible without her information, assistance, and potential sacrifice. Talizora and I will work on her recovery together. When relays are restored, we will know more and will develop further options for recovery or restoration. I hope you find her. If she is to be found, Lissam, she will be. I made her a promise that I would not forget her, and I will keep it. Thank you." It did take months. 3 months, with the combined coordination of keepers, Geth, Senar, and bits and pieces of Reaper technology that could be manufactured according to his specifications. But the relay was reopened to the Citadel. It was the first of the relays to be successfully reopened, and true to Senar's promise, there was a well-publicized Reaper invasion. It was a spectator event. Senar had opened neither church nor embassy, but it appeared he had answered everyone's questions to their satisfaction. There was a visceral shiver to seeing Reapers themselves, the ones that looked like what Senar called Leviathan, which was a whole other story he would tell her someday. He deferred many questions to someday and had not yet developed a voice simulation program in the interim. The answer why knocked on their door the evening of invasion while Russ was cooking. Garrus answered the door, Kara leaning against the doorframe from the kitchen, looking out to see who was there. It was Senar. It looked like Senar. He didn't need a voice simulator because he'd made a whole new him. Somehow. Garrus looked him up and down once, blinked, and then punched him.
That's for kissing my bondmate. Come on in.
Senar smiled without visibly moving in any way from the blow. Garrus shook his fist out with a notable Turian swear and got out of the way as Kara ran to him, threw her arms around him, and began to cry. Russ yelled from the kitchen, "Who is it?"
Reaper God making her cry again.
No way. Russ came out of the kitchen and took them both in. I'll be damned. Toulon, why the hell are you glowing gold?
Yeah, isn't that a little over the top?
She looked up at Thane, Senar, Reaper God, whatever his name is today, and he looked the same as he always had. Glowing gold. He asked her, "Shall I tell them?" Tell them what? That this is how you have always seen me. Since I... What? Now, I mean, I can't tell the difference, so...
Do I look like that?
No, dumbass. Only one person here is glowing gold, and it's kinda tacky. Yes?
That's just cool.
Well, I'm confused. Senar's arms enfolded her in a hug, and he said, Kara has always seen me this way. Her mind highlights certain concepts, certain people, and light or vibration. What color am I?
Gray.
Figures. Come on, dinner's gonna burn. Have I thanked you for saving the galaxy? No, you have not. Good, because I never will, and that was stupid. Don't do that again. I do not believe I am eligible any longer. Good. Welcome home. Thank you. Listen. So you're doing the whole God thing, huh? I find it more appealing than civil servant. Okay. Come on in. Have a seat. Russ is making dinner. Wait, do you eat? Are there any godlike dietary, or is that dietary, requirements now? They walked to the kitchen and he said, I do not need to eat. No. I can still enjoy food if I choose.
And don't punch him. He's had some upgrades.
So, you're what? Immortal now? Yes. Still everywhere at once? How does that work? This body is networked to Reaper systems. I can operate this platform as I would any other. Doesn't that get confusing? At this point in time, likely only for you. Ouch! Pick on the mortal. So you're running how many platforms right now? Several trillion. Oh? Well, Good for you. Russ sounded a little pale, served 2 Turian plates and an omelet for Kara. Sorry, I don't have anything Drell. Didn't stock for it. As I arrived unannounced, that is completely understandable. If it is permissible, I will stock Drell supplies tomorrow, and I will cook for those who consume levo.
Which you only do for fun, right?
Yes. Well, the fish has gotten better. Thanks for that. You are welcome.
What is the fleet of Reapers for?
It will be possible to eliminate disease through genetic therapy for organic creatures, aided by the technology that built this body. The technology I can use to do anything from curing disease to enhancing function to providing immortality. You're kidding. I am not. Those enhancements, as well as quantum leaps forward in technology from this point, should provide access to resources and energy that will now be easily produced, synthesized, and provided. Won't that collapse the economy? Yes. A new economy will emerge, one of voluntary production, and not one of desperation or necessity. Kara stopped a moment to take in the stunning potential change to the socio-economic fabric and cultural standards. Well, thanks for taking time out to see us in the busy schedule. Time for me is irrelevant. Thanks. I feel special. Time for me is irrelevant in terms of waste. I wished to see you, to be truly present, and now I can be. Other platforms continue with what work must be done, and my ideas generated will be contributed back to the whole.
Somewhere in there's a joke about us being the only ones that can have our time wasted.
How do you decide who gets what procedure, who gets what resources? I thought I would ask you such questions. Whatever changes can or will be made should be made with minimal chaos.
Are we in the front of the line for immortality?
She is. Kara picked up a roll from the basket and lobbed it at Senar's shoulder. Stop it! Look, there's some tension here. I can fix this. Just let me kiss Garrus, and everything will be even. Garrus had caught the bouncing roll, Senar inspecting his leathers for damage, which, of course, there was none from an unbuttered roll, and likely there could never be any anyway. Garrus lobbed the roll at Russ, saying,
Stop it.
Russ chewed and swallowed contemplatively, ignored the roll, and said, You know, I think it's rude to discuss immortality unless you've brought enough for everyone.